Bryce Young is pretty darn important to the Carolina Panthers.
One would say.
Will Harer is the Panthers quarterback coach, as announced over the weekend. Will Harer is responsible for the day-to-day improvement of Bryce Young, which is pretty darn important, right? It's pretty darn important. Matter of fact, how many people do you think you could legitimately pencil in or Sharpie in would be the better way, ink, into the depth chart for next year?
3.
Give me the 3.
Bryce Young.
Yep.
Derek Brown.
Yep.
Brian Burns.
Well, you could also argue those are the 2 biggest trade discussions they have to make.
Well, yes.
So you could argue it's just Bryce Young.
Fair.
Because, if the other 2, if you get, obviously, they're good enough, right? Derek Brown and Brian Burns are worthy of being penciled into their starting spots, but due to contract situations and where they are on their rookie deals and where they are with franchise tags, that they may not be back. I would say one of them for sure will be, but which one? It's better than 0 that they aren't. Which means Bryce Young is the guy they are building around, and every decision they make on the offense is about getting the best out of Bryce Young. Will Harer. That's the guy. No pressure. Will Harer was most recently an offensive assistant with the Cowboys. He was in the mix with a whole bunch of teams. But actually, I'll give you the rundown real quick. Been around the block. There was USC, meaning Southern Cal, Florida, Auburn, Texas, Texas Tech, Falcons, Jaguars. All of these are places he's worked on the offensive side of the ball. But the most important, spent 5 years with the Seahawks, which means Dave Canales, which means Dan Morgan, which means trust, which means, you ready for the word? What the word of the month, the word of the offseason?
Hit me.
Alignment. Alignment. If you watched the Dave Canales or the Dan Morgan press conference, I don't know what the record was previously, but they broke it, I guarantee you, for most times saying the words alignment and synonyms in one press conference. And it's not surprising to me that everyone that answers to Dave Canales and is between and or in addition to the conversations between Canales and Bryce Young has to be somebody who is like a friend, who is a trusted confidant. Dave Canales brought in Idzik, who was his best friend in Tampa Bay, according to Scott Reynolds, beat reporter of the Buccaneers, to be the offensive coordinator. Then he brings in Harer to be the quarterback's coach, another guy that he spent a significant amount of time with, half a decade with, in Seattle. Everybody that talks to Bryce Young is somebody that Dave Canales trusts wholeheartedly. I think that is wildly important. Wildly important. Because you don't want to continue with the Game of Thrones style backstabbing, trying to take the credit that they dealt with on the Panthers last year. You need, hey, just so you know, Bryce and I worked on this. Hey, just so you know, Bryce asked about this play, and I told him what he did was fine. The mind meld of that, right? We talk about the 4 horsemen of the franchise. Owner, GM, quarterback, owner, GM, head coach, and quarterback need to be in alignment. There's a lesser-known 4 horsemen of the offense that also need to be in alignment. That would be offensive-minded head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback's coach, and quarterback. Right? It's like the mini version. It's the branch off the tree of the main version.
The ponies.
Yeah, exactly. Mini horse. That's exactly what it is. And that is so important. And I think Carolina is building it appropriately. Carolina is letting Dave Canales bring in his guys, and also because they are his guys, they're going to be on the same page. Now, here's the added hook, right? Here's the but wait, there's more, right? For $19.99, you not only get, what was it, like the OxyClean, you also get the ShamWow. He's worked with Harer, the quarterback's coach, has worked with Bryce Young in the past. Bryce Young, ready? Outside of the NFL, Harer has worked with something called the QB Collective, developing high school quarterbacks. Bryce Young worked with that group before moving on to Alabama and the Panthers. So there's at least a relationship there that is pre-superstardom, right? I don't know what this feels like. Dennis, I don't think you've ever been like the nationally famous number one recruit, but hey, I don't know everything in your past.
No, I wasn't.
I would imagine there's, or even like if you have a breakout hit on the music charts, or you get nominated for an Oscar at 16 years old. Like at some point, you have to become skeptical at first of new people entering your life, right? It's are they in it for the right reasons? Are they trying to hitch a ride onto my superstardom? Like there has to be some, to quote Drake, no new friends. Harer goes back with Bryce Young. I'm sure not since he was like completely unknown, but since before he was at Alabama, right? When the followers on YouTube or on Instagram weren't in the hundreds of thousands, right? There's got to be some comfort in that. He worked with me. He knew my game. He wanted to work with me. We had a relationship prior to a Heisman Trophy. Because I'll tell you right now, there are quarterback gurus all over the world that would love to work with a guy that already won a Heisman Trophy and then want to market themselves as, I work with a guy that won a Heisman Trophy. And it's like, you weren't even around for that. This guy was around before that. So there has to be a trust in both directions, right? Canales trusts him. Bryce Young, again, I don't know how, if everyone that he met, prior to the age of 18 is someone he fully trusts, but there's at least a relationship going from Bryce Young up the tree, just like there is from Dave Canales down the tree branch. And that is wildly important. I feel weird saying this. I'm just going to be clear about that. I like the way the Panthers are building their staff. I feel weird complimenting the Panthers. I didn't like the Dan Morgan hire just because he was a part of the 2023 assembly squad.
Mm-hmm.
But since they've made that, I've liked a lot of what they've done since then. Not every person has been the person I would have picked. Let me be on record saying that before everyone goes back and you flip-flopped. Not everyone would be the person I would have picked, but their relationships to each other and how the picking has happened.
The process of it.
And the relationships and how much they come kind of pre-assembled with trust and relationships, I like.